Welcome to the Unpopular Mom Show. I'm Julieann Hartman. I have my friend Sandy, the unpopular mom, and our unpopular kids that turned out to be amazing, creative, successful adult children. This is Sophia, my daughter, and this is Sunny. This is Sandy's daughter, and we are just having a conversation about a lot of great things that we hope is going to help you raise your kids as well. And so, yes, we only have girls here, and I know boys are different, but you did have a boy. You do have a boy.
I do have a boy.
And so we can talk about him behind his back at any time in this conversation.
Love Charlie.
Yes.
He's the best.
So because they're very different.
Yes,
they're very different to raise. And I mean, we have two daughters. Sophia is the younger one, and Carly the older one, but was really different than Sophia.
I took on more of the masculinity.
No, she took on more of my personality, actually. So we were talking about how in school, even though you might have not been so popular with the kids, but you were really popular with the teachers. The teachers could rely on you, they respected you, and you really got to do some great things as a result of it. I mean, you were the ASB president, you were the manager of the comedy sports team. You also were, weren't you the co-president or the vice president of your elementary school?
I was co-president.
Co-president, yes.
With the kids.
Hey, I don't forget these things because we did all the campaigns.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Right?
But yeah, I mean, one just really quick testimony off of being a great student. And that came from, obviously, I had all my assignments in on time. Sometimes I hear some of the students that I manage, I guess you could say, with the ministry that I'm in right now at church is, I've got 10 missing assignments. I'm like, I was never allowed one missing assignment. And it wasn't on my teachers. It was you guys being like, what's your homework, right? And then we obviously, as we got older, got into a flow of I was a diligent planner. I had everything mapped out. I chose not to go on a Hawaii trip because of school, which they regretted later. But I was like, you raised this. You created this monster. But a really quick testimony was I had one teacher in high school for all 4 years. She was my math teacher. She was my yearbook teacher. I was her teacher aide at one point, and she ended up hiring me after I graduated high school to be her nanny to her newborn baby. And we had always joked when I was in high school of how I would help raise her kids and all this stuff. And the day I graduated from high school, she told me that she was pregnant and she had her baby, and I took a gap year and after high school, and I got to nanny, and she trusted me with so much, and she was like, the only reason I'm doing this with you is because you proved yourself for 4 years. And so that was such an honor. I mean, still to this day, I'm like, how did she trust me? I was 18. I was a little thing.
And plus, she was a new mom. I mean, it
was her first kid.
First child.
It was my first nanny job. He was 3 months old. I'm like, how am I getting trusted with this little guy's life? And he's 5 now, which freaks me out. But anyways, just the fact that a teacher would invest in me post high school. I run into teachers now that I'm kind of back in the community as far as the student side goes. I run into a lot of old teachers of mine, and they honestly love me still to this day because I was a very good child at home, and I was a very good child in their classroom, and I never gave them any issues. It's like, you have enough issues to deal with.
Absolutely.
As being a public school teacher in California, you got enough on your plate. Let me be an easy one.
But I also want to say too, we're always trying to be cool with our friends, but we're not looking at the future, and that's one thing about maturity. With you and with Carly as well, is that with our girls, is that they knew that there'll be a future beyond those kids, those knucklehead kids that would do stupid things. What would be the point of going, and doing their ways of having entertainment and screwing up things in your life than just being, a good person, a good student, an obedient daughter, right? And that I know that word obedience is oh my God, that sounds so harsh, but it's not. It's true. They obeyed us, and and let me just say this: did you not have the most amazing life?
I had a fantastic life.
Yeah. So it wasn't
childhood.
We kept you in a closet somewhere.
No,
you will not. You will not do any of those things. I'm going to chain you to the desk. No,
not at all.
We had the best time. So for you, what when was it that you realized okay, either I'm going to be friends with these guys that might get me in trouble, or I'm gonna, change myself, or just continue what I'm doing and be friends with the teachers, so they'll know that they can trust me.
Well, yeah, I actually had some problems. Teachers did not like me, but I would say that kind of like what I said when I was 15, and that was my last year in public high school. I had a decision to make because my brother was about to go to private school. and I was either going to go with him or stay at public school. And at this time, this is when I was hanging out with this group of friends who when I would go out with them, they'd do drugs. They would drink. They would get in the car after drinking and doing drugs.
Oh gosh.
Take us to some random guy's house we didn't even know. And then another time, because they knew I was a Christian, hey, let's go buy a Ouija board and sit Sunny down and make her play, which I did not do and I was very clear. I was like, you guys go over there and do that. I'm sitting here with my Bible. Like, that's what I'm going to do. And and that's when I had a choice. I was like, either I'm going to keep going with these people, and we were sitting in that office at the Christian school, and I was like, I was fully decided, oh no, I'm going to continue at public school. He's going to go here, have fun. And then I was in there, and something in me just snapped. Like, either I'm going to go that way or I'm going to go this way.
Sure.
And I had a decision to make, and I right then was like, I had gone in that office with my decision made, and it changed in a second because I wanted a different kind of life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me throw this in there too, and I'll pose a question to you guys because
Okay.
I had a lot of friends whose parents did not have an issue with them drinking or doing drugs or whatever, as long as it was in their house, right? I had a lot of friends' parents that were like, I know you're gonna do it, so at least I can control it if it's at my house, and that poses a threat to you guys because now it's not, okay, all the parents are on one accord, it's the kids that we have to enforce on. It was like, you're looking at parents that are like, are you nuts? Or parents that were just high themselves. I had a lot of friends' parents who I'm like, I don't think you're all there. You know, like, they would come to shows or they would come to games and they would come
What about
to
that time that one parent picked you guys up?
Oh, I had one of my friend's moms when I was in like 7th grade, she picked us up wasted.
Wasted.
She was fully wasted and she was on pills. I think because she was a manic depressant, she was like all these things, and she picked us up absolutely wasted. Scariest car ride of my entire life. I mean, it took us what should have been 15 minutes down the road. It took us an hour and a half.
And I'm waiting
somewhere
at the final destination going, what is going on? And I'm freaking out because
it was awful.
I know that she had a little bit of, I didn't realize it was as bad. I had no
Her
idea
husband
it was
was
as bad.
extremely abusive. He was also he was addicted to, I think it was meth or something like that. And so the wife was just trying to anesthetize from what her husband was putting her through.
From the outside,
all that to say,
she didn't look like she was on anything, but then things started changing.
Yeah. So as a question, what's it like when the moms are against you? You know, what's it like
all the
when
time? How about you, Sandy?
All the time.
Like, it's hard to be a mom with no mom friends.
Oh, I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so talk about that.
Well, did you have girlfriends who were parents of their friends?
Oh yes, I did.
Okay.
And they, that it was very hard because it ended in a very bad way because they blamed my daughter for something. And it's funny because they knew Sunny's character, and they blamed her for something that she didn't do. She got called in the office, and I had to confront the mom. And it wasn't a pretty picture at all, and it was something that I will not let go because it's like you sullied my daughter's name, which is not okay.
Right.
You know her. Sunny's a great child. She went through she was not hard at all to raise. A couple little bumps over, but we smoothed it out, and that's what people knew. I always taught my kids, you don't use profanity. There are far more intelligent words to use than profanity. Because to me, it's kind of an immature way. It's something that I wanted my kids to get their stories and their wisdom from older people because they have the best stories. They've lived their life. I didn't want them getting their advice from children their own age who had no life experience. Yeah. So that's why I always taught them, go where the older people are because you will never have a bad time.
Oh, I have tons of older friends.
Yes.
I'm talking like adults, like not even older kids, like 35-year-old friends.
Yeah, I wanted my kids to be well-rounded. You hang out with little babies to adults and function, and be a part of society, be a part of the world, but you can do it in a Christian way.
Yeah.
You don't have to go the way life chooses. I was a very, as they would say, square person. People would stop talking when I
you were unpopular.
I was very unpopular because I wasn't doing drugs. I wasn't having sex. I was not doing these things in high school. And they would stop talking to like stop talking. Their conversation ended when I would walk up.
Yeah.
And as I tried to tell
Yeah.
them, I'm not judging you. I don't judge you on what you do. This is just a choice I made. I don't want to go down that road.
Mhm.
So what I wanted to bring up my kids with the same values. Eventually, they're going to be adults and they're going to make their own choice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But when they're in my house, under my roof, there will be rules and there will be boundaries.
As for my house, we will serve the Lord, no matter what.
Absolutely.
Well, so I was the opposite. See, I was that person that would, you know, when you'd walk into the room, I'd be like, shh, don't talk. And so because of that, my past in the parties and the sex and all that stuff, you know, in high school, that's why I watched everything, because I knew what it looked like.
Because you were the instigator.
I was the instigator. I was the bully. I was all those things because,
Yeah.
you know, the old saying, hurt people, hurt people. Well, I was hurting on the inside so horribly, and I wanted to bring everybody down with me, right? Even the sweetest people. Listen, I had to forgive myself for forcing some of my friends that were just really good girls. I'd make them smoke, or I would bully them into smoking cigarettes, right? And so I had to, like, literally, I'd forgive myself for doing that because I can't find them now, you know, but, and, you know, you think about those things like, how could I have done that to that person? So I was not going to let anybody do that to our girls as well. And so, you know, it's a hard thing when you've got the friends' moms
Yes.
and you just want to punch them. You're like, what is wrong with you?
Yes.
My kid's not going home with you, never spending the night.
Yeah.
And, you know, and
No
then,
sleepovers.
yeah, no sleepovers. And, you know, I'll tell you something. My father was a little out of his mind, but he would never let us spend the night at anybody's house. And I know why, because he lived such a dark life. He's thinking, well, what other fathers out there living a dark life
Absolutely.
behind closed doors? Because, you know, when the door was open, my father looked like the most jolliest, fun guy you'd ever want to be with. But when the door shut and the alcohol and the drugs came, he was a different person. So I think he really felt like there's more of me out there. And I'm so glad that happened, because who knows what would have happened if maybe I would have found out that not everybody's family lived like that. Maybe that would have been.
Not everyone's family lives in fear
Yeah,
24/7.
exactly. But so for you guys, when, you know, what was that like for you when you've got not just your friends, but you know their parents completely agree with them in doing those things?
I mean, how do I put this? I had a pretty good group of friends. For as good as public high school could get, I think I had a pretty good group
You
of
did,
friends.
yeah.
Unfortunately, when I hit junior year, and this is kind of typical even still, that was when all the big shifts happened. And so it was like the kids who didn't used to do this before junior year,
right.
it was like, I can drive, right? All the freedom starts to come out. And yeah, and so I had some pretty good, decent friends, but I mean, even still, it was like there were just certain things that I wouldn't do. And honestly, this doesn't sound fun, but if you're a teenager or if you're a person listening to this and you're the unpopular kid, like, I was made fun of. You're gonna get made fun of, right? In John 15:18, Jesus says, the world is going to hate you. Why? Because it hated me first.
Right.
And I didn't know that scripture at the time, but I had enough healthy fear installed that I just wasn't, I was not going to get punished. I was like, I don't want the punishment, so I'm not going to do the thing that's going to cause the punishment.
Right.
But now being the adult, it's like the world is going to persecute you for being a Christian, right? When you're not a Christian, there's no reason for you to not dive into all these things because you have no moral code. But if you're a Christian listening to this, you know what's right, you know what's wrong, and the world is going to hate you for choosing the right thing. But if you have any consolation of, like, hope in Jesus, is that the world hates him more than it hates you. And so there was just times when I was going to get made fun of, and I would prep myself and go, okay, this isn't going to go over well. And so I would come home and be like, guess what they said about me today, you know? And like I turned it more into a joke at home, so that it would kind of lessen the blow for me. Plus, my sister got really bullied all throughout school, and I'm a big protector, and so I was like, I will beat the crap out of whoever says something about my sister. So I put it out there where I was like I have the thick skin. Say whatever you want to say to me. I'll have the thick skin, because I knew what it was like for my sister to get bullied, and not necessarily.
But don't do it to my sister. I'll take it, but don't.
Oh, yeah.
Well, then that's how I would say to her all the time, both girls, you see now why I'm so protective. And I am very protective over the time because now we're out of time. And we have to do another show because we're not done with this. This is such a great conversation. So thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Sunny, for coming on and, talking about yourself. And, that's not always easy, but I really appreciate it. And so are the people that are watching. We'll see you guys next time on The Unpopular Mom. Bye-bye.